Denmark's bold defense overhaul. Buy, as Russia looms. Welcome back to our channel, where we dissect the biggest shifts in global security and defense. Today's topic centers on a remarkable development from a NATO ally that is shaking up the European security landscape. Denmark has announced an unprecedented boost in its defense spending, a 70% increase over the next 2 years, raising its outlays to 3.2% of GDP. Triggered by a startling intelligence report suggesting that Russia could start a war in Europe within the next few years. This move is not just about numbers, it's about strategic survival. In this video, we'll analyze the intelligence, unpack Denmark's rapid procurement mandate, and explore what this means for the transatlantic alliance, for NATO's future, and for the ongoing recalibration of military power in Europe. Act 1. The Intelligence Report, a stark warning from Denmark. At the heart of Denmark's defense surge is a sobering intelligence assessment. According to a translated report from the Danish Defense Intelligence Service, there is a clear and present danger looming on Europe's horizon. The report warns that if Russia's ongoing conflict in Ukraine either freezes or comes to an end, Moscow could shift its focus toward its western neighbors. It lays out a timeline. Russia might launch a local war against a bordering country within 6 months, escalate to a regional conflict in the Baltics within 2 years, and potentially initiate a large-scale attack on Europe within 5 years if the United States does not step in decisively. This warning has served as a catalyst for Denmark's current defense policies and underscores the urgency with which European nations must prepare for a rapidly changing security environment. Act 2. Denmark's defense spending surge 70% increase explained. In response to this alarming forecast, Denmark has decided to dramatically increase its defense spending, an additional $7 billion over the next 2 years. This 70% boost raises its military outlays from 2.4% to 3.2% of GDP. Such an increase is significant, particularly in light of mounting pressures on NATO allies to invest more in their defense capabilities. While many NATO countries have historically fallen short of the alliance's 2% GDP target, Denmark's decision represents a bold step forward, especially as external threats intensify. This move not only signals Denmark's commitment to strengthening its own defense but also serves as a broader statement to its allies about the need to prioritize military readiness in an era of uncertain transatlantic support. Act 3. Buy, the urgency in procurement. One of the most striking elements of Denmark's defense overhaul is the emphatic procurement directive from Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen. In a press briefing, she issued a clear and unambiguous command to the military leadership. There is one message for the Chief of Defense: buy. This statement encapsulates the urgency and no-nonsense approach being adopted. Frederiksen emphasized that speed is of the essence. If the very best equipment isn't available immediately, then Denmark will not hesitate to secure the next best option. This rapid procurement strategy is designed to modernize the military quickly, ensuring that Denmark can respond effectively to emerging threats. The directive is not merely about accumulating weapons. It's about rapidly transforming the country's defense posture in response to a dynamically evolving security landscape. Act 4. Equipping the future, modernization and support for Ukraine. The infusion of funds is expected to have a dual impact. First, it will enable Denmark to acquire cutting-edge weapons and advanced military technology, thus bolstering its own defense capabilities. Second, it will empower Denmark to provide additional equipment and support to Ukraine, which has been at the forefront of resisting Russian aggression. The purchase of modern weaponry is seen as essential not only for Denmark's security but also as part of a collective effort to deter further Russian expansion. By rapidly upgrading its military assets, Denmark is positioning itself to play a pivotal role in Europe's broader security framework, especially at a time when the geopolitical landscape is increasingly uncertain. Act 5. NATO, U.S. support, and shifting strategic priorities. This bold move by Denmark comes at a time when NATO is grappling with internal divisions and shifting expectations regarding U.S. support. President Donald Trump has long called on NATO members to increase their defense spending, even suggesting that some countries should aim for as much as 5% of GDP. with the United States signaling potential retrenchment and a focus on domestic priorities. European allies are being forced to rethink their own security arrangements. Denmark's decision to invest heavily in defense serves as a reminder that, in the absence of robust American backing, European nations may need to take matters into their own hands. This recalibration of strategic priorities reflects a broader trend across the continent, where nations are increasingly preparing for a future where they must rely on their own military strength to counter external threats. Act 6. The geopolitical context, Russia's military modernization. At the same time, Russia is undergoing a significant military transformation. Analysts like Alexander Gabuev, director of the Carnegie Russia-Eurasia Center, have noted that Moscow is reconstituting its military to become larger and better equipped over the next 5 years. Even if the conflict in Ukraine were to subside or sanctions on Moscow were lifted, President Vladimir Putin's enduring hostility toward the West remains a critical concern. Putin's regime views the West as a mortal enemy, and his ambition to reshape Russian military might continues unabated. This ongoing military buildup in Russia further reinforces the urgency behind Denmark's defense strategy. In a world where Russian aggression is not a relic of the past but a persistent and evolving threat, European nations must remain ever vigilant and proactive in their defense planning. Act 7. Economic and industrial impacts on European defense. Denmark's defense spending surge also has significant economic ramifications, particularly for European defense contractors. Companies like BAE Systems, Thales, Leonardo, and Saab have experienced robust performance in recent years. As nations across Europe ramp up procurement efforts, the increased demand for advanced military technology is stimulating growth in the European defense industry, challenging traditional U.S. giants such as Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. This economic boost not only benefits the companies involved but also reinforces the industrial base necessary for maintaining a competitive military edge. As Denmark and its allies invest in modernizing their forces, the ripple effects will be felt across supply chains, research and development sectors, and job markets throughout Europe. Act 8. Expert analysis, lessons from past conflicts and future projections. Experts and analysts are closely watching Denmark's aggressive defense spending. Many draw parallels to historical periods when rapid military modernization was essential for national survival. The urgency evident in Denmark's buy mandate echoes the defense strategies adopted during past crises, where speed and flexibility were paramount. Analysts suggest that while the financial commitment is significant, the long-term benefits, both in deterrence and in operational readiness, could far outweigh the immediate costs. Future projections indicate that if Russia were to pursue a more aggressive posture, nations like Denmark that have invested in rapid modernization will be better positioned to defend not only their own territories but also to support allies in a broader coalition response. Act 9. The broader implications for Europe's security architecture. The decisions made by Denmark resonate far beyond its borders. This defense spending surge is a critical component of a larger debate within NATO about burden sharing and collective defense. As some allies struggle to meet even the modest 2% GDP spending target, Denmark's commitment to reaching 3.2% sends a powerful message about the future of European security. It signals that European nations are willing to step up and assume a greater share of the defense burden in a potentially multipolar world, with U.S. support perceived as wavering and Russia's military modernization on the horizon. NATO's future may well depend on the ability of European countries to invest independently in their own security and contribute effectively to a collective defense strategy. Act 10. Conclusion. What lies ahead for Denmark, NATO, and Europe? In conclusion, Denmark's decision to ramp up its defense spending by 70% over the next 2 years is a bold and necessary step in response to an increasingly complex and uncertain geopolitical landscape. Fueled by a stark intelligence report warning of potential Russian aggression, the buy directive from Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen is a clarion call for rapid modernization and preparedness. This move not only strengthens Denmark's own military capabilities but also has far-reaching implications for NATO's strategic calculus and Europe's overall security architecture. As the world watches Russia's military evolution and debates the future of transatlantic defense commitments, Denmark's proactive stance offers a blueprint for how nations can adapt and thrive amid emerging threats. If you found this analysis insightful, please hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more comprehensive breakdowns on global defense and security issues. Stay tuned as we continue to follow these critical developments and their impact on the future of international stability.